Hello, my name is Jake Price. I'm a junior creative writing major, and this is my art expression assignment. The current image I chose is this picture from a New York Times article titled Trump Lawyers Assail Gag Order Request and Election Case. It was written by Alan Four, and it was published on September 26, 2023. Um, I chose this image because I don't necessarily agree with all President Trump has done, but I think he is very good at gathering public attention, and I think that is something that um like an image of Trump holds weight because of that, for better or for worse. And then historic um the historic piece of art that we covered in class, I'm choosing to do the Augustus of Prima Porta, which means the portrait of Augustus. It's on display in the Braccio Nuovo, the new arm of the Vatican Museums in the Vatican City. It was created in first century AD, um, first century AD by the ancient Romans. It was made with a hammer and chisel. It was crafted from white marble, and we covered it in the How Art Made the World Part 3, The Art of Persuasion assignment from the BBC. We had the take-home quiz. And for comparison, I am choosing to compare these two because they are both two political leaders using images, trying to convince the public of their right to rule, and they are trying to convince the people that they are rightfully the ones in charge for obvious different reasons. My thesis is as follows: is I've chosen this photograph and this statue of Augustus because they both showcase political figures having themselves portrayed in a way that showcases them as a leader with authority that has goals to unite while simultaneously suppressing opposition and behaving like a king. And what I mean by king whenever I say that is I mean abusing power and thinking the only person who has a right to rule is them. And what I mean by that is Augustus, he portrayed himself as this ruler of Rome, as the emperor of Rome. He was bringing people together and he was giving power back to the people. And Trump has said a lot of similar things, and he wanted to fix Rome. He wanted to make Rome as great as it once was and even greater. And Trump has similar views with the whole, make America great again thing. So I think fitting those two together is it's fitting. About the Augustus of Prima Porta, Augustus had this statue created to sway over the Republicans to his side, not like Republicans as we know it, like ancient Roman Republicans. Um, the statue displays him as heroic. It displays him as a leader, someone who has authority and power, someone who could lead a country. His breastplate displays the Roman gods celebrating him to say his rule is the will of the gods and that it's their doing and that's the reason why, he's in charge. And his breastplate displays, oh, I'm sorry, I just said that. The baby, the baby hanging off his robes, as you can see in the bottom left of the statue, it represents a new Rome being born under his reign, and kind of how like he is the provider of a better Rome, of a new Rome. And this while claiming to unite his empire and portraying himself as someone who wants to give power back to the people, he was suppressing any political opposition that came up. He was putting on a face. He was trying to please the public opinion to cover up his misdoings as a leader. He claimed to have started acting like spoiled royalty, and this was one of the first examples of a political leader using promotional images to sell his rule to sway the people. And I think this is notable because a lot of public personas and public figures today, they put on a character, and that character isn't necessarily who they are, but they put on this character so whenever they achieve fame and achieve success and stuff like that. Like they have it's easier to be someone else in the public eye and like point at that person and be like this is the reason this is happening. This is why I'm acting this way. This is this and that, and he's putting on a character, and I'll dive more into that later because it relates to what I'm talking about with President Trump. And speaking of which, on to the next slide. This photo was taken from an article that is describing how Trump's lawyers are refusing to sign a document that would restrict President Trump from talking about his recent dealings with the January 6th court case. And like I said earlier, love him or hate him, Trump has an ability to gather attention on himself, and he uses it. Maybe not always to his benefit, but he always has people talking about him. And he's a character that represents the whole of a movement. So in the same way Augustus was trying to put on a character that he was going to unite Rome, he was going to bring peace, he was going to give power back to the people, he was the rightful ruler. Trump is putting on a character that says, he's going to make America great again, he's going to drain the swamp, he's going to he actually won the 2020 election, and it was other people trying to take him out. He avoids responsibility by becoming a character and claiming that using that character as like the figurehead of a movement. And more on Trump. Similar to Augustus, as I said before, Trump is using an image to showcase his power and authority. He is very serious in the face, and he's standing upright while standing in front of his campaign slogan. Also similar to Augustus, Trump has been known to abuse his powers, which is something that we are all aware of. I don't think I have to go in depth about, some of the power hungry things Trump has done, such as ranting on Twitter about literally anyone who says anything to him, to firing White House staff that didn't agree with him when he was acting president, and to inciting a riot on January 6th after refusing to concede the election, which he is currently on trial for, which this article is kind of about. Also similar to Augustus, Trump has been known to try to impress opposition, to calling election centers and asking for fake statistics of fake votes counted, to slandering anyone who has ever said anything negative about him. So he has very obviously made it clear that it is either Trump or the highway, which is similar to Augustus because Augustus, any political uprising or different beliefs than his own, he shot down and made sure, were stomped and stifled. I wanted to bring this up because I just wanted to showcase how important the power of images are and the role they play in politics. So this is another example of a photograph of Trump that would be used on the other side of the political spectrum. So the article from the New York Times was pretty moderate, but it was kind of right leaning. Like it didn't glorify Trump, but it painted him in a very good light. This is a photo from another New York Times article slandering Trump about the January 6th court case. And this photo makes him look menacing and childish. This photo is not a photo of a leader, and no wonder it makes sense why Trump's team would want to choose photos and why an article in support of Trump would pick the better photos and not a photo like this, because the this would be good on like a smear campaign. This doesn't make Trump look good in any way, while the photo we chose earlier, uh, yeah, the photo we chose earlier, he was stoic, he was calm, collected, he was a leader, he looked like a president. And then just a recap of the similarities. Um, they both are power-hungry leaders. Both communicate that they want to bring people together. Both attack and try to suppress or demean opposition. Both present themselves as people with authority. Both used um, these images to sway public opinion in a political setting, and one I came up with while doing this presentation. They both want to fix their respective empires and countries, so they both want to bring it back to its former glory. And then for my conclusion, I just wanted to re-go over my thesis statement. My thesis was I've chosen these photographs, this photograph and this statue of Augustus, because they both showcase political figures having themselves portrayed in a way that showcases them as a leader with authority that has goals to unite while simultaneously suppressing opposition and behaving like a king. And I already went over about what I mean by behaving like a king. Um, I chose to compare Trump and Augustus because Trump is a controversial figure who has behaved in similar patterns of abusing power, like trying to not necessarily swindle the people, but make them believe something that's not necessarily true in order to get their vote, and trying to clear their names as a politician. And I personally I was drawn to the Augustus statue as soon as we covered it in class because he started a trend in politics to sell an image, and for better or worse, it's become the norm. All politicians do it. Trump is just kind of being used for this example. And yeah, so that was my art expression assignment. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day.